For 40 years, the world was convinced King Tutankhamun had been assassinated. X-rays showing a fractured skull, a palace conspiracy, a teenage pharaoh murdered by his own court. Then, in 2005, high-resolution CT scans finally settled the debate. There was no murder. But what those scans uncovered was far worse. A death so prolonged and physically devastating, it rewrites everything we thought we knew about the boy king's final days. The story of Tutankhamun's death begins not with a medical scan, but with a single step into the Valley of the Kings. On November 4, 1922, after years of digging through dust and disappointment, Howard Carter's team broke through a sealed doorway and entered tomb K562. Carter's diaries, now digitized, describe the moment he first glimpsed the gold mask, the blackened doorway, and the boy king's linen-wrapped body lying on a wooden pallet. Photographs from that day captured the mummy before any modern disturbance, every detail, every artifact frozen in time. These images and Carter's sketches would become the baseline for decades of debate. As news of the discovery spread, the world's press descended on Egypt. Headlines screamed of ancient curses, mysterious deaths, and the untimely end of a teenage pharaoh. The New York Times called it the most extraordinary day in the whole history of Egyptian excavation. The legend of the boy king's tragic fate took on a life of its own, fueled by whispers of a royal assassination and the supposed curse that followed those who entered the tomb. For decades, the details of Tutankhamun's death remained a blank canvas for speculation. Then, in 1968, a new piece of evidence electrified both scholars and the public. A team from the University of Liverpool performed the first modern X-ray on the mummy. The grainy radiograph revealed a small bone fragment inside the skull, just visible, ambiguous in shape and origin. Newspapers from London to New York seized on the image, announcing that the mysterious fragment suggested a blow to the head. Radio broadcasts and television specials built a story of betrayal and murder at the heart of the royal court. For nearly 40 years, the idea of a palace conspiracy was accepted as fact, repeated in documentaries, books, and museum exhibitions around the globe. But beneath the drama, the evidence was never clear. The X-ray's resolution left much to interpretation. Was it truly a fatal injury, or simply a relic of the embalming process? The fragment's origin remained uncertain, yet the narrative of assassination had already taken hold. Few questioned whether the story matched the science. Few asked what else the mummy might reveal. As the 20th century drew to a close, a new generation of scientists prepared to look beneath the surface, armed with technology that could see through both myth and linen. The next breakthrough would not just challenge the old murder theory. It would reveal a reality far more complex and far more devastating than anyone had imagined. The 1968 X-ray had cast a long shadow, but by the early 2000s, the tools of forensic science had leapt forward. In January 2005, a team of Egyptian and international specialists wheeled a state-of-the-art Siemens CT scanner into the Valley of the Kings. For the first time, Tutankhamun's body would be examined in thousands of cross-sectional images, each one just fractions of a millimeter thick. The process produced over 1,700 axial slices, capturing every detail from the crown of the skull to the tips of his toes. The team worked through the night, careful not to stress the ancient bandages or introduce new damage. Each scan brought the past into sharper focus. As the images appeared on the monitors, the story began to shift. The skull, the supposed site of royal murder, showed no evidence of a fatal blow. The bone fragment that had fueled decades of speculation was found to be loose, its edges clean and undisturbed. Radiologists determined it had likely entered the cranial cavity during embalming or later handling, not through violence. The dramatic narrative of a murdered king began to unravel under the cold scrutiny of modern imaging, but the CT scans did not leave the mystery empty. Instead, they uncovered something far more troubling, a clean, transverse fracture running through the left femur, just above the knee. The break showed no signs of healing, no callus bridging the gap. Forensic criteria, sharp fracture edges, lack of remodeling, pointed to an injury that occurred shortly before death. The fracture's angle suggested a high-energy accident, not a slow disease or natural decay. In the ancient world, such a wound would have been catastrophic. Without antibiotics or advanced surgery, infection could set in within days. The scans also revealed subtle skeletal anomalies: a slightly elongated skull, a curved spine, and bone density lower than expected for a healthy teenager. These findings hinted at a body already weakened before the accident, raising new questions about the young pharaoh's health. The CT data called the old murder theory into question and replaced it with a new, more complex puzzle. If Tutankhamun was not killed by a blow to the head, what chain of events led to his early death? The answer, it seemed, would not be found in a single moment of palace intrigue, but in the slow, devastating interplay between injury, disease, and inherited fragility. The evidence was mounting, but the full picture was still coming into focus. The 2005 CT scan of Tutankhamun's mummy shattered the old story of a palace murder, but it did not bring easy answers. As the high-resolution images stacked up, slice by slice, layer by layer, a different kind of drama unfolded. The left femur, just above the knee, showed a clean transverse break. No evidence of healing appeared along the fracture line. The edges remained sharp, untouched by the slow process of bone repair. In modern medicine, this is the signature of a wound suffered shortly before death. The fracture's location and geometry pointed to a violent accident. Radiologists noted the angle, slightly oblique, as if the leg had twisted or struck something hard. In the ancient world, such a break was not just painful, it was a crisis. Without antibiotics, even a small wound could spiral out of control. Here, the CT scans revealed more. Traces of soft tissue swelling near the injury, subtle signs of the body's last, desperate attempt to fight infection. Embalming resin, poured over the break, had seeped into the wound, sealing it in time, but also preserving the evidence of trauma. But the femur was only the beginning. The scans also captured hints of deeper problems. The bone density throughout Tutankhamun's skeleton was lower than expected for a healthy teenager. His spine curved gently to one side, and his skull was elongated, a shape seen in other royal mummies of the same dynasty. These anomalies, once dismissed as quirks of mummification, now raised new questions about the young king's health. Was his body already weakened before the accident? Could a genetic disorder have made his bones fragile, his immune system less able to fight off infection? The CT images, precise and relentless, forced a new reckoning. The evidence of a catastrophic leg injury was now undeniable, but the scans also hinted at a body under chronic strain, a young man carrying the burdens of inherited weakness and disease. The old narrative of a sudden, dramatic murder gave way to a more complex and in many ways more devastating story. The next step was to look beyond the bones themselves, into the code of life and the hidden history written in his DNA. But the scans revealed something far more disturbing. Genetic science soon entered the story, bringing a new layer of evidence and a new set of questions. In 2010, researchers extracted ancient DNA from Tutankhamun's bones and teeth, searching for any hidden vulnerabilities that could explain his decline. The results were stark. Tutankhamun's parents were not just close relatives, they were likely full siblings, making his inbreeding coefficient one of the highest ever documented in a royal lineage. This close-kin parentage left a mark at the genetic level. The team identified a mutation in the KOL1A1 gene linked to type Y collagen, the protein that gives bones their strength and flexibility. Even a single change here can make bones brittle and prone to fracture. For Tutankhamun, this meant that a fall or minor accident could shatter bone instead of bruising it. The CT scans had already revealed that his skeleton was unusually fragile for a young man. Now the DNA findings explained why. But the genetic evidence did not stop there. In the marrow of his femur, researchers found traces of Plasmodium falciparum, the parasite responsible for the deadliest form of malaria. The presence of malaria DNA, confirmed by hundreds of ancient parasite fragments, pointed to chronic infection. Malaria weakens the immune system, causes severe anemia, and saps the body's ability to heal. For a teenager already carrying the burden of brittle bones, this combination was devastating. The portrait that emerged was not of a healthy young king cut down in his prime, but of a boy shaped by generations of royal inbreeding, living with congenital deformities and chronic disease. The DNA results matched what the CT scans had hinted: elongated skull, curved spine, clubfoot, and low bone density. Far from the image of a robust ruler, Tutankhamun was physically fragile, vulnerable to injury, and slow to recover from even minor wounds. This new genetic and pathological evidence forced a reckoning. The old story of a sudden, violent death gave way to something more complex, a slow-motion collapse where inherited weakness and infectious disease set the stage for a single accident to become fatal. But the medical reality was even more disturbing. The next round of forensic analysis would push the story further, revealing just how much Tutankhamun suffered before the end. Today, forensic science replaces myth with evidence, but the truth it uncovers is rarely merciful. As technology strips away legend, we confront not a victim of palace intrigue, but a teenager undone by his own genetics and infection. Progress means facing even darker realities than fiction ever imagined. Share your thoughts below.